I was watching the Lyrid meteor shower last year. I didn't get to see any meteors, unfortunately, but whilst I was laying there in my garden staring at Uranus, I was also watching the planet Venus, and sitting there, I had a weekly dose of existential crisis. What if a fat bastard asteroid came right now and smacked into Earth? We'd all be royally wouldn't we? At best, a few of us can maybe survive in some Fallout-type world, but that's kind of unlikely, and after the year we've had, I don't think I'd be up for that anyway. Anyway, as I was pondering how royally tossed we'd be if an asteroid smacked us, a wave of frustration came over me. How can the US spend $750 billion on military a year, yet only give a fraction of that amount to NASA? Here is a picture of a sad astronaut that I found to make the government feel bad. Is it working? It's all well and good waving your big gun around and spouting how yours is bigger, but what's the point of funding wars between each other when what is essentially a big daddy rock could come and finish us off in a heartbeat? It'd be like having a piss and having a peek at the guy next to you and realizing your willy is bigger, but then Mandingo walks in and, yeah, it's GG after that. This wave of frustration grew and grew. Why were NASA underfunded? Why was NASA an American program? Why don't we just merge all the space programs together for, humanity? Although, to be fair, there's probably more chance of finding a copy of GTA 6 on Mars than the planet collectively coming together. Well, anyway, as it turns out, NASA's budgeting has gone a little like this. Oh look, lovely, NASA have more budget now than ever before. Yeah, no, hold on mate, this graph doesn't take inflation into account. So yeah, what 5,933,000,000 was in 1966 would now be the equivalent to 49,294,257,000, compared to the current budget of 22,559,000,000. In 1966, it was 4.41% of the US budget, compared to now, which is 0.48% of the US budget. So clearly, the only reason NASA had so much funding back then was to beat Russia in the space race. Why was the space race even a thing? I mean, sure, it kicked us on a bit, but after America won, allegedly, hashtag flat earth gang, that was that. Okay, global warming wasn't as big of an issue back then. People didn't fully grasp that our planet might be, struggling to home 7 billion people, maybe. So the little race was one of their only incentives, if you chuck curiosity to find more about this big old place that we live in called the universe out the window. But now we know we need to become a multi-planetary species. We need to stay alive, and we're running on borrowed time. I'm sure we've all seen the doomsday clock, which is sitting at a rather daunting 100 seconds to midnight. In the grand scheme of things, the space race might as well have been a 100-meter sprint between the two countries that's occurring as the entire stadium around them is slowly burning down. Cool to win, but ultimately pointless because the audience and athletes alike all horrifically burnt to death after the race. But now, things are looking up. Quite literally. Artemis got announced by NASA in late 2019. Artemis aims to be the bridge between where we are now and getting humans on Mars. We're going back to the moon by 2024, not as a destination, but as a checkpoint, as a base camp, a place to launch from to go deeper into space. Not only that, but in late 2021, we launched the James Webb Telescope, a $10 billion project that sees the observatory begin a voyage back to the birth of the universe.
Decollage liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself.
A project that will help us discover what really happened all those billions of years ago. A project that... But wait, more frustration. No one gave a toss about Artemis, really. Why is it half my family, who are by no means poorly educated, unaware of any of this? They had no idea that we were taking steps to go to Mars. This shouldn't be a hobbyist fact that gets brought up in pub quizzes. Moment of silence for you UK folk who, in lockdown, had more quizzes with distant family members than any self-respecting person should ever have to go through. But this is the next step for our fucking species, and it could be a matter of life and extinction. But instead, people only care about space stuff when it's Elon doing it. And even then, he usually has to go to the extreme and blast a car into space, or slap a meme cryptocurrency on a rocket. Not hating on Elon, by the way. If anything, he's probably very aware that doing these things will get more people interested, which is a win, whether or not you like his tactics. And more recently, people don't praise Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos for trying to pioneer the space industry, but instead they ridicule them and shame them for spending money on pointless things, such as space travel, when there's hundreds of millions of hungry children in the world. Well, here's something to think about. If we don't hurry up and get off this little marble we call Earth, there won't be any hungry kids, because they'll be dead. And which do you prefer, huh, you sadistic fuck? Anyway, by getting more people interested, get this, we could be the generation who gets shit done when it comes to spacey stuff. Screw going to Cyprus for a week with the boys, we could go to Mars. But no one cares. And for that, we blame the education system. Oh, fucking hell. Edgy statement, right? Let's all shout at the education system for being outdated and shit. Yes, it is shit, and it deserves to be called shit, alright? But that's another day's run. This one is coming for the science department. Excuse my French, but what the sacre fuck would I want to know about the maximum tension of various plastic bags, or whatever the shit I did for my year 9 coursework, when you could be telling us how we aim to land on the moon and set up camp there by 2024 to, you know, blast off to the rest of the solar system. Okay, don't get me wrong, I understand they have to cover the basics in science, but they don't do a very good job at explaining what the basics could lead to. They don't give you the larger picture. Something where kids could be like, ah, okay, so learning about molecular properties could lead to working to develop more advanced materials such as elastomer, which is basically a really bendy material that's also good enough at absorbing impacts, to be used by companies to develop a shock absorption helmet for the defense market to reduce the risk of traumatic brain injury. I bet you wish you learnt about how stretchy your Aldi shopping bags were now, yeah. Not once did I hear, hey kid, if you actually pursue this career, you could actually make a difference. You can cure cancer, create new sustainable energies, go to fucking Mars. Instead, I hear, yeah, today we'll be reading through this massive ass book, which you can barely read due to the decade worth of previous students who drew cocks all over the pages. Where am I going with this, you may well ask? I don't know. But all I do know is that I want to see change. I want to see science become cool. Bill Nye tried his best, but he's old now, and the coolest sciencey guy we have is Elon Musk, and half the world fucking hate him. We need to guide the next generation towards science. We need to encourage them to love it. We need to encourage, no, we just need to tell them the truth, and they'll decide for themselves that, hey, science is fucking cool. I'm going to work harder on this instead of choosing a media course and going to uni to do film. If I ever have children with some poor sod, then I obviously won't force them to do anything they don't want. But I'm going to make sure they know how fucking cool we are as a species, and that how much cooler we can be if more people chipped in to help. Because let's be honest, what could be cooler than becoming a multi-planetary species and saying you helped with that? And what could be less cool than watching people you love die, as well as yourself, as you look up at the flaming hot ball of shit slowly come crashing down on your home with the daunting awareness that the human species is done for. This is the end of the history book of the human race, and no one is going to be here to read it. The only way we can prevent that happening is through science, and to step up our game. And to step up our game, we need to help the next generation step up theirs. We need a generation of hope. We need a generation of aspiration. We need a generation of science.